So the Fool, as I mentioned, this is a very common character as well. And what you look for here is you look for the Fool to be an ironic form of comic relief. So what is comic relief? Someone give us an understanding of comic relief. Yes?
Like if it's a serious moment, it's that one person who just makes it, like, eases the mood.
Absolutely. I like the way you said that, eases the mood. That's what you look for in comic relief. Therefore, we'll often find fools in what kinds of works of literature then, class? Drama or tragedy. Yep. You look for this figure to kind of shake things up, because if the mood gets too serious, it's hard for the audience to maintain focus. And we have a little bit of irony here. And here's essentially the irony that goes on. Although the Fool is ridiculous, and although the Fool may not have the highest social standing or may not be the most intellectually gifted, the Fool will sometimes come out with these little gems of wisdom. So the irony here is that although lowly, the Fool is usually momentarily wise. The Fool will have these little, quick, wise moments, and we're going to talk about why. So again, his appearance or his station in life, his socioeconomic status, he may not be noble, okay? May be kind of lowly or ridiculous or silly. But this often reminds us of how arbitrary class snobbery can be. What is arbitrary? Random, unfair, not based on fact. Because a lot of times when people in certain social classes, the higher ones, when they consider themselves better than everyone else, that class snobbery is shattered by the Fool, because here's the Fool in the lower class, or who gets less respect, and he'll see something about the upper class that really exposes their ridiculousness and their folly. So he's a commentator. He comments upon the powerful people, the wealthy people in society, and he gets away with it. How can the Fool get away with making these kinds of comments? How can he do it? How can he get away with it? Yes?
Because he's not afraid to say stupid things, so he can kind of say what's on everyone else's mind.
Absolutely. And then if he says something that does kind of hit close to home, everybody says, oh, well, he's always saying ridiculous things like that. It makes it safe, right? So at times, this is what we were just getting at, he can relate profound wisdom or irony, because this inferior status gives him insight on the human condition. See, in a lot of ways, the Fool should feel like an outsider. And you know that when you remove yourself from a situation, that's when you get perspective. When you're in the situation, it's hard to get a good perspective because you're biased, because you're in it, okay? Now, what's also kind of funny about the Fool will often have, strangely, these streaks of good luck. And sometimes you'll see this archetype merge with the sidekick. But what will make the Fool a little bit different, this is one of the distinguishing factors, is that the sidekick may never have a moment of real wisdom, whereas the Fool will. So that's one way that you can separate them, but sometimes these figures do merge, do combine. Okay. Does all that make sense? Okay, so let's hear from you. What are some examples first from literature? So here we're looking for examples from books and plays and major works. Oh wow, very good. So let's go with Jordan right here.
Rodrigo.
Tell us about where Rodrigo comes from.
Well, he's a Fool because during the whole play he's providing comic relief, with all the crying and over Desdemona and things. But when Cassio was going on about Othello and basically just saying all these bad things about him, he's like, well, why don't you quit?
Yeah.
And so that was good advice from him.
It was, and you know what? In Act 5, I won't ruin it because we're not to Act 5 yet, but in Act 5, Rodrigo is going to have this great moment of wisdom. He's going to figure something out that no one else has. So just wait for that moment in Act 5. Shakobi.
I say Unfer.
Yeah, tell us about it.
Because he kind of does everything that they say. He says all the stuff about Beowulf that nobody else kind of expected anyone to say to him. And then at the end he did have the wisdom where him and Beowulf exchanged the swords and stuff. So it kind of fits perfect.
Very good. He does fit well. Can anybody think of the clue that tells us that Unferth may be of an inferior status? There's one little clue in the epic. What's that?
He sits at Hrothgar's feet.
He sits at Hrothgar's feet. That may give him a court jester kind of role. We're not sure, though. That's ambiguous in the epic. That's an excellent example. All right, who else has an example? Hamza.
Merry and Pippin from Lord of the Rings.
Tell us how they fit.
Because like they're always joking around the whole movie, but then eventually when they're both like under stress, they both come through it in different ways.
Absolutely. They bring the trees, right? They bring the ents. And something else to look out for, this is worth jotting down. Look for silly names here too. You know, when we look at these names, look at Unferth, right? No courage, no peace. This was something we looked at etymologically at one point. Look at Mary and Pippin. What does Mary mean? Like happy or jolly, yeah. So look for the names to be a little silly too. Okay, excellent example. What's another one? Yes.
Neville from Harry Potter.
Very good. What's his whole name?
Longbottom.
Longbottom. You know, it's kind of like saying big bottom. It's pretty funny. He has a goofy appearance in the films. You know, he's got butt teeth and everything. But boy, he comes through, doesn't he? A couple times he comes through for Harry and the friends. Yeah, good. Okay. What's another one? Yes, Alora?
I was gonna say, but that's a movie, never mind, wait.
Okay, I'll call you back. Yes.
I'm not sure, but would Ron Weasley be still sort of the sidekick in the Fool?
At times, absolutely. Ron Weasley has moments where he is in fact a sidekick, but he does fulfill a fool, role as well. I have to answer the phone. This is realistic. Okay, Sadie.
Also from Harry Potter, there's Fred and George.
What's that?
Fred and George.
Okay, tell us about it.
They like have their joke shop even when everything is all gray, and then like they play pranks at the school when everything's bad, like when they have the bad teachers and stuff.
That's excellent. Thank you. You can really tell Rowling loves archetypal theory. Tons of archetypes. Yes.
I don't know if the Mad Hatter counts.
Oh, absolutely. The Mad Hatter and
The cat.
the Mad Hatter's partner in silliness, the March Hare.
Oh, the rabbit.
No, not the White Rabbit. The White Rabbit is different. He's the one with the watch, right, with Alice and Alice in Wonderland. The Mad Hatter is, of course, spouting nonsense. This is Lewis Carroll doing some satire because in the 1800s, when hats were made, the workers used mercury to shine them up, and they used their hands. They didn't use gloves with the mercury. Mercury is poisonous, and if you handle it too much, it can cause insanity. So in England, mad means crazy. Yeah, so he's mad, he's crazy because of the hat making. Lewis Carroll's doing a bit of satire here. And a March hare, in March, rabbits propagate. So if you, so in England, if you say that someone's acting like a March hare, it means they're acting crazy, out of control. So these two are absolutely fools in Alice in Wonderland. Very good. All right, what's another example from Lit here? Yes.
Well, the advisor for Mulan, like, it was a book too, so Mulan was a book too. But the advisor to the general,
Tell us about it.
he wasn't really helpful at first. Like, he kept trying to suck up to the general,
Uh-huh.
and then he kind of helped out at the end with the general's son.
So he's more of a fool as opposed to a wise old man?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So we'll put him down here for pop culture. Is there anything else you wanted to say about literature before we move to pop culture? Andrew?
I don't know about this one, but maybe Wilson from Gatsby.
Explain.
He just seems like he's like always like part of everyone's joke and stuff. He's just not. He never really succeeds in anything.
Yeah, he is the butt of everyone's jokes. Yeah, he's kind of a perennial loser. Yeah, I can see where you're going with that. I wonder, does he have a lucky streak or a moment of wisdom? That's the only thing that.
That's why I said I didn't know about.
Yeah, I think that you're right. I think he's kind of a tweener. I think he has elements of it. I think that's a good point. Hamza?